WADR. Promoting dialogue.
Good evening and many thanks for staying tuned to West Africa Democracy Radio, broadcasted on 94.9 FM and around the world on WADR.org. Welcome to Newslink. Here are the top stories. Authorities in Mali imposed curfew in Nyoro, Jema and Sandare localities after several attacks. Indigenous people of Nigeria's capital city Abuja reject relocation policy.
We have really sacrificed our own land for the building of this nation. But at the end, we the Nigerian people are having negative consequences.
Ivorian government launches new national action plan to combat child trafficking, and transport unions in Ghana threaten nationwide strike over one Ghana Cedi fuel levy.
We are therefore calling on government to reverse the levy immediately and engage us on major stakeholders on the way forward. That our call is not heeded to. We will be compelled to take industrial action.
Please stay tuned for details of these stories and more.
Here is a more edit with Newslink.
Many thanks for joining our broadcast. Let's begin in the Sahel, specifically in Mali, where authorities have imposed a curfew in the western towns of Nyoro, Jema and Sandare following a surge in armed attacks affecting several regions. The decision announced on Thursday by the governor of the Nyoro region aims to strengthen nighttime security amid a continuing deterioration in the security situation. This new measure, adopted by Mali in response to a resurgence in armed attacks, prohibits the movement of people, vehicles and motorized vehicles between 8 p.m. and 6 a.m. Abdullah Hassan brings us details in this report.
The Malian army in a statement said only security force vehicles, ambulances, convoys with an official mission order and heavy goods vehicles using national roads are exempted. This curfew, which takes effect immediately, replaces a previous order dated January 9, 2025, but its scope has been expanded to include new areas deemed vulnerable. Meanwhile, militants hit two more military installations on Wednesday and Thursday, Mali's army said, the latest in a quick spate of attacks that insurgents say have killed hundreds of soldiers and underscored their gains. The army said in a statement that ground and air enforcement were being mobilized on Thursday morning to respond to an attack on a security post in Mahou, located in eastern Mali near the border with Burkina Faso. The attack was claimed by Jamaat Nusratul Islam wal Muslim (JNIM), an Al-Qaeda-linked militant group active in Mali and Burkina Faso. Information on the death toll was not immediately available. Mali's junta seized power following coups in 2020 and 2021, promising to restore security in a country that has grappled with jihadist militancy for more than a decade. But attacks continue in large swathes of the country.
Abdullah Hassan with that report. Away from Mali now, following Sunday's attack on two communities in Gwer West and Apa local government areas of Benue State, north-central Nigeria, the Benue State government reaffirmed its commitment to ending the persistent harassment attacks plaguing communities across the state. Speaking on local media on Thursday, Special Advisor to the Governor of Media and Publicity, Teso Kula, highlights steps being taken to restore peace and security. While acknowledging the long-standing nature of the security challenges, the Benue State government, through Mr. Kula, conveyed that comprehensive measures are being implemented and strengthened to protect lives and property. These efforts build upon existing frameworks and new initiatives designed to bolster the security architecture within the state.
The governor is trying to bring peace and succor to the people that are badly affected by acts of terrorism here. It has been happening in recent time, and it has happened recently. We have a twin attack by this marauding herdsmen who attacked Dakar, the headquarters of Gwer West local government. Scores were left injured, many died. The governor of Benue State, since the resurgence, he has been making efforts to get collaboration and the needed support from the federal government and especially conventional security operatives of the Federation. He has in many occasions visited Chief of Defense Staff, Chief of Army Staff. The National Security Advisor himself was here. Chief of Army Staff just left here. And so he has been collaborating with them at that level. And at a point, additional troops were sent to the state not just the military, but also mobile policemen were sent here to beef up the security. The governor didn't stop at that. In order to have what is called community policing, vigilante mobilization of the people, he established vigilante outfit here codenamed Anyamyo.
That was Special Advisor to the Benue State Governor there, Tesokula, speaking. Staying in Nigeria, the indigenous people of the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja, have strongly rejected the Capital Territory's administration's long-standing relocation policy, condemning it as a gross violation of their human rights and a betrayal of Nigeria's constitutional guarantees. At a public hearing convened by the House of Representatives Committee on Area Councils and Ancillary Matters, FCT natives called for an end to decades of displacement and marginalization. Yechenu Sasechu in Abuja report.
The hearing, held at the National Assembly Complex in Abuja, featured powerful testimonies from traditional rulers, community leaders, civil society representatives, and lawmakers, all united in the call for justice for the original inhabitants of the FCT. They are demanding a new model of urban development as declared by Bala Iya, representing the Baduma community.
Infrastructure should be provided, and those who will be affected by the infrastructures development should be resettled within their domain, meant in our ancestral homes.
The Sapei of Garki, Chief Usman Ngakupi, highlighted the historical sacrifices made by FCT natives in the nation-building process.
We have really sacrificed our own land for the building of this nation. But at the end, we the Nigerian people are having negative consequences.
Speaker of the House of Representatives, Tajuddin Abbas, represented by Joe Oke Onuakalusi, described the hearing as a crucial step towards strengthening national unity and addressing long-standing injustices.
Your views and contribution will guide this House in taking the necessary legislative steps to give every Nigerian, especially the indigenous people, a sense of belonging in the nation.
The lawmakers have pledged to thoroughly review all submissions. According to them, the FCT is a symbol of unity and national identity, but its development must no longer come at the expense of its original people. For WADR, Yechinu Sasetu in Abuja.
More stories coming up on West Africa Democracy Radio. Newslink continues.
The Ivorian government on Thursday officially launched its comprehensive new National Action Plan for 2025 to 2029 to intensify the fight against child trafficking, exploitation and child labor. The significant initiative underscores the nation's renewed commitment to protecting its most vulnerable population. According to the Ivorian First Lady Dominique Wadr, the new 5-year plan builds upon previous efforts and aims to significantly accelerate progress in eradicating all forms of child exploitation. She noted that the plan is expected to integrate a multi-sectoral approach, bringing together various government ministries, civil society organizations, and international partners.
Ce quatrième plan d'action porte les attentes et les ambitions de notre pays.
This fourth action plan carries the expectations and ambitions of our country in terms of protection of children's rights and the implementation of our international commitments concerning the durability of our supply chains. I call on all producers in all sectors of activity that are encouraged to be more vigilant. We will continue to fight together so that this scourge is completely eliminated from our country, whether it is in the cocoa plantations, in Anaka, in Cafe, or in the mines, in transport and services, because our children must not be used in any area whatsoever.
Ne doivent pas être utilisés dans quelque domaine que ce soit.
Ivorian First Lady Dominique Wadr speaking there. Now, Togo has been named among several countries affected by a new travel restriction issued by U.S. President Donald Trump, citing security concerns. According to a report, Trump signed a presidential proclamation on Wednesday evening that imposes either full or partial entry bans on nationals from a list of countries deemed to pose security risk. The proclamation fully restricts entry for nationals from 12 countries: Afghanistan, Myanmar, Chad, Republic of the Congo, Equatorial Guinea, Eritrea, Haiti, Iran, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, and Yemen. Togo is among 7 countries facing partial restrictions. The others include Burundi, Cuba, Laos, Sierra Leone, Turkmenistan, and Venezuela. The White House says the restrictions are country-specific and account for factors such as poor identity verification processes, high visa overstay rates, and failure to share security-related information with U.S. authorities. Meanwhile, in a swift reaction, Chad's President Mohamed Idriss Déby Itno announced on Thursday the suspension of visas to American citizens in response to a decision by the United States to ban Chadian citizens from entering the country. The Chadian leader denounced the U.S. action, describing the decision as unfair and discriminatory. The position of the Chadian head of state was expressed in a message published on his official Facebook page. Augustin Kohli completes the story.
The U.S. decision, which takes effect on June 9, targets 13 countries, including Chad, Afghanistan, Iran, Libya, and Somalia. According to Washington officials, it is part of a broader effort to strengthen domestic security measures following a recent deadly attack in the state of Colorado. Exemptions are provided for diplomatic visa holders, essential workers, and individuals deemed to be of national interest to the United States. Several voices have been raised to denounce this measure, which they consider discriminatory. They argue that it unfairly targets individuals based on nationality and undermines the principles of equality and justice. Critics also fear that such measures could strain diplomatic relations and contribute to a climate of mistrust between the affected countries and the United States. According to the terms used by President Déby Itno, with this reciprocal decision, Chad intends to defend its sovereignty and dignity. He emphasized that Chad will take all necessary measures to protect its citizens and interests, signaling a firm stance against what he perceives as unjust treatment by the United States.
Augustin Kohli with our report. You're listening to Newslink on West Africa Democracy Radio 94.9 FM Dakar and around the world on wadr.org. Here is a reminder of our top stories. Authorities in Mali imposed curfew in Nioro, Jema and Sandere localities after several attacks. Indigenous people of Nigeria's capital city Abuja rejected relocation policy. Ivorian government launches new national action plan to combat child trafficking. Still ahead in the news, transport unions in Ghana threaten nationwide strike over one Ghana Cedi fuel levy. We do have a guest interview and sports news. Please stay with us.
West Africa Democracy Radio. It's you speaking.
Well, don't forget we're streaming live on wadr.org. In Guinea, the economic landscape is currently grappling with significant challenges as a persistent liquidity shortage in primary banks and an ongoing cement scarcity impacting the local market. Speaking with stakeholders on Thursday, the Prime Minister and Head of Government, Amadou Riba, believes that Guinea was going through a phase of economic acceleration requiring profound readjustments, both in production models and in monetary circulation circuits. Christopher Teacher has more details in this report.
Prime Minister Amadou Riba addressed 2 critical economic issues during a recent press conference: the liquidity shortage in Guinea's banking system and the persistent cement scarcity. Regarding the monetary tensions, the Prime Minister acknowledged the crisis, framing it within a broader period of economic change. He announced an upcoming meeting with key players in the economic and financial sector to tackle the issue. According to him, Guinea is experiencing exceptional growth, with an estimated 7% increase in 2024, far surpassing the previous annual average 3 to 4%. This rapid growth, he explained, is rendering traditional monetary circulation mechanisms obsolete. On the cement shortage, which is hindering construction and causing consumer dissatisfaction, Ba Ure was direct. He called on the industrial operators to change their approach, emphasizing that the country's economic growth demands rapid adaptation of production capacity. Overall, Prime Minister Ba painted a picture of a Guinea in transformation, highlighting a controlled inflation rate of 3%, managed debt, and promising double-digit growth prospects in the short term, indicating the nation is on an upward trajectory. But for this dynamic to bear fruit, the rapid resolution of the liquidity and cement crisis appears imperative.
Christopher Tisha filed that report. Elsewhere, commercial transport operators in Ghana have threatened to embark on a nationwide strike on June 10 in protest against the newly introduced one Ghana City levy on petroleum products, popularly referred to as the Doomsor levy. Addressing the press on Thursday, the Industrial Public Relations Officer of the Ghana Private Road Transport Union, Abbas Ibrahim Imoro, expressed strong dissatisfaction with the levy, describing it as a measure that will bring untoward hardship to commercial drivers and transport business owners across the country. According to him, the decision to implement the levy was taken without adequate consultation and risked pushing many operators out of business due to rising operational costs. The association has demanded an immediate reversal of the policy and a broad engagement with the government and relevant stakeholders.
On behalf of all transport operators, commercial transport operators, including GPRTU of TUC, are by this statement demanding immediate removal of the 1 cedi energy sector levy imposed on petroleum products. This levy, which is coming on the heels of the recent reduction in transport fares, will significantly increase operational costs, resulting in loss of income, which will affect our livelihood and the general public. We are therefore calling on government to reverse the levy immediately and engage us on major stakeholders on the way forward. In the event that our call is not heeded to, we will be compelled to take industrial action and park our vehicles on June 10th, 2025. We urge the government to consider the impact of the levy on the transport sector and the consequences of our action on the economy and engage us on meaningful deliberations to help address challenges in the energy sector. We just reduce our lorry fares as low as 15%. And are you aware that we reduce the lorry fares based on the reduction on the fuel prices? So how are we walking? Do we walk one step forward, one step backwards? If it is no, then we are in serious crisis.
PRO of the Ghana Private Road Transport Union, Abbas Ibrahim Moro, speaking there. In the meantime, plastic pollution has become one of the most pressing environmental challenges facing Ghana. Every year, the country generates nearly 840,000 tons of plastic waste. Shockingly, less than 10% of this waste is recycled. The rest ends up clogging streets, drains and waterways, or is burned openly, causing serious health and environmental problems. WDL's Nadia Tete brings us a report, the special report to commemorate World Environment Day, celebrated on June 5 each year.
Plastic pollution is one of the most pressing environmental issues facing Ghana today. Across cities and towns, blocked drainage systems choked with plastic waste have become a common sight, leading to frequent urban flooding, especially during the rainy season. These floods don't just disrupt movement or damage property, they also spread waterborne diseases, affecting thousands of lives each year. Lydia Isua from the Ministry of Environment says the scale of plastic waste generation in the country is alarming and it's only growing.
It's really a challenge. In terms of the total plastics waste that is generated, Ghana does about 0.84 million metric tons annually. 10%, only 10% is recycled. About 9% finds itself in the ocean. So we had a look at the global perspective, and we are seeing that the same thing is reflecting in country, where a chunk of the waste that we generate finds itself into the sea.
But the impact goes beyond flooding. The plastic waste is burned openly, often as a means of disposal. It releases harmful toxins into the air. These fumes are dangerous not only to the environment, but to human health as well. The World Health Organization estimates that over 28,000 Ghanaians die prematurely each year due to pollution-related illness, a significant portion of which are linked to burning of plastic waste. And it's not just about what we see. The invisible danger of microplastics is becoming more evident as plastics enter our food chain through water and seafood consumption, raising new public health concerns.
Another report by the World Wildlife Foundation which also indicates that averagely, an average person ingests into your system approximately 5 grams of plastics weekly. And to bring it home, the 5 grams of plastics can be likened to the size of a credit card on the average every week. That's the quantity of plastics that we inject into our system. On the average, it's having a toll on us. Because of the ingestion of the plastics, we are having issues, or the effects of plastics is also being seen in terms of some human health issues that are confronting people. So the issue of obesity, the issue of fertility, having challenges to give birth because of the fact that the plastics are able to mutate the way the hormones are in our system and are able to interfere with the way the hormones operate. So it's really an issue.
The president of the Canoe and Fishing Gear Owners Association, Nana Kwijir, highlights how plastic waste is threatening the country's marine life and fishing communities. Fishermen often haul in more plastic than fish, posing both an environmental and economic threat to their livelihoods. He notes that while awareness is improving, efforts to manage plastic waste at the coastal level remain fragmented and under-resourced.
We have engaged some canoe owners, and we will continue engaging canoe owners and fishers as to what fishers can do to address the plastic pollution that we find at the landing beaches. Going forward, we are looking at setting up model communities, supplying them with dustbins to be able to separate waste at the landing beaches so that plastics can be taken away, probably to firms who are into recycling and who can even buy these plastics from fishers who collect them.
Plastic pollution also takes a toll on Ghana's economy. It damages fisheries, tourism, and biodiversity. The World Bank estimates that plastic pollution could cost the West African sub-region up to $2 billion each year if left unchecked. Over 99 companies are currently engaged in recycling plastic materials, especially PET bottles and sachet water plastics. Annually, about 241,000 metric tons of plastics are recycled. But that still represents only a fraction of Ghana's total plastic waste. Most of it ends up in landfills, rivers, or the sea, posing serious risks to ecosystems and communities. This World Environmental Day, the message is clear. Plastic pollution is a crisis we can no longer ignore. But with collective effort, strong policy, and behavioral change, Ghana could turn the tide.
Nadia Tete in Accra with that report.
Politics, analysis on major news, social matters, and all. This is A Guest.
Well, we'll go back to Ghana with a burning issue following passage of a new energy sector levy that introduces a 1 cedi charge per litre on all petroleum product. The controversial bill was approved on June 3, 2025 under a certificate of urgency following a walkout by the minority in protest. The effort to stabilize the troubled energy sector have triggered fresh criticism from the opposition and industry players alike. Well, President Mahama says the decision, though difficult, is necessary. Our guest is Ghanaian economist Evans Nuno, who speaks on the enactment of the new energy levy.
The government took away or cancelled some 3 levies from our system, our financial system. That is the E levy, and then the betting tax, and then emission tax. So these taxes were taken off. But surprisingly, government has introduced us attracted the wrath of most of the people. So people are not too happy with it. People think that it is too harsh and they didn't expect that.
Even though that some people actually support, the government to revive the economy, isn't this counterproductive, knowing what he has done moments ago and now?
Yes, it could, because so though the government has worked so hard to stabilize the city and then to reduce inflation, as we speak now, inflation has further gone down to approximately 80%, and that is good. But the current introduction of the energy levy of 1 cedi on every liter of petrol and diesel could further trigger inflation if not well taken, because it can add on to the general price level, because most people, especially traders, would have to incorporate their lorry fares into the final prices of the product they sell out. And once it's petroleum prices triggering inflation is quite infectious. So if I sell and I increase the price because of lorry fares, then in his sense, cost of living has risen. And so it adds to the cost of living. It has that inflation tendency, and it can change the story. So I think that, yes, though the government is working so hard to reduce inflation and to stabilize the cities, if care is not taken, the introduction of this levy could reverse the situation.
That was Evans Nuno, a Ghanaian economist. And in sport news, we begin with volleyball, where from June 2 to 8, 2025, Abidjan, the Ivorian commercial capital, will host a high-level training course for around 30 African coaches from 9 countries on the continent. The high-level coaching course, organized by the African Volleyball Confederation in collaboration with the Ivorian Volleyball Federation, is part of a Level 2 international course accredited by the International Volleyball Federation. Led by Algerian expert Assam Sime, the season aims to strengthen the technical and tactical and pedagogical skills of participants. And that's it on this edition of Newslink from West Africa Democracy Radio, broadcasting on 94.9 FM in Dakar, Senegal. Thank you for listening, and many thanks to Mustafa Sek and Chen Jai for the technical support. Do connect with us on all of our social media platforms, X, formerly Twitter, Instagram, @ADR News. Coming up at the bottom of the hour is our flagship environment program, Enviroscope. I am Imo Edet. Good evening.
And many thanks to you for listening to Newslink via Hot 104.3 FM, New Me FM 94.0,
Hilltop Radio 104.7 FM,
and Veritas